I just got the Aputure 100D in today. We're going to open it up and set it up and see what it looks like. This is not just a lighting upgrade, it's actually a camera upgrade as well, because now that we have more light, we can use a smaller aperture lens with a wider field of view. So let's go ahead and check it out. So the Aputure Amaran 100DS is a light that was designed for creators. It's got 100 watts and about 37,000 lumens. The box comes with the light itself as well as a hyper reflector. All right, once we get past the hyper reflector, we have the 100DS light engine itself. You also have the battery power brick and the power cord. The unit does come with a protector over the light source. All you have to do is hit that little pin up on the top, pull it back, and twist. And your light and your Bowens mount are ready to use. On the bottom, you'll see the locking mechanism to mount it to your light stand. And of course, the tightening knob. On the back, you have the 3-pin connector, which is 48 volts, and power on and off switch, and then an adjustment knob. And to put on any kind of attachment onto that Bowen mount, all you have to do is pull that notch back, twist it counterclockwise, and release the notch. And there you have it, the 100DS. Let's get it plugged up and see what it can do. And to really make the Amaran shine and show you what it's capable of, we're going to compare it to this current light setup, which is a $50 kit that we got off of Amazon. It comes with two 100-watt light bulbs with reflectors and stands. We have one acting as a key light on this side, and then one a little bit lower as a fill light on this side. Both of them have sheets to kind of soften the light. We're currently at 3200 ISO. We're going to check it at 1600, 800, 400, and then possibly 200. Keep an eye on myself as well as the background as we start to make these changes. We may have to increase the brightness of the light bars to match. We're also going to go ahead and try to change out the lens to a little bit smaller aperture, 18mm lens, to see if we can really get that bokeh in that distance. The problem with the 18mm smaller aperture lens is that less light comes into the camera, so we're really going to be pushing the aperture to its max. So let's go ahead and get started. Right now we're at 3200 with these two lights. First, let's go ahead and change the Amaran on the key light and see what we get. All right, and hopefully that's bright enough for you. It's definitely bright enough for the camera because you can't see anything. Like I said, the Amaran is on a reflector and it's at 100%. So let's take our first adjustment by bringing the light down to, say, 5%. Even at 5%, it's too bright because of the reflector. Let's take off the reflector and see if that helps out. All right, and this is a pretty good setup. The only thing we changed was taking off the reflector. Notice that the light is a little bit softer because it's less targeted. It kind of wraps around the face a little bit more. It actually illuminates the background just enough. This would be a pretty good setup with the exception of the fact that we're at 3200 ISO. So in order to clean up the image, let's try to bring that ISO down a little bit. So next thing we're going to do is go ahead and lower the ISO to 1600. Let's see what that looks like. So now that we lowered the ISO down to 1600, we're losing a little bit of the light that's going into the camera. So let's go ahead and increase the brightness of the aperture and see if we can't even it out some. So we've increased the output of the aperture to 10%, but we're getting a little bit blown out. So let's go ahead and put some diffusion on it by putting a sheet over it. All right, and this setup is not too bad with the sheet, but let's go ahead and bring that ISO down one more time to 800 and see what it looks like. So we took the camera to 800, which could clean up the image, but it made it dark. So we need to go ahead and add some light to the room. Let's increase the output of the Amaran. So we got some more light, but it looks like the fill light can't keep up anymore, and the tube lights in the back aren't able to keep up either. So let's go ahead and increase the tube light brightness first. So increasing the brightness of the tube lights actually helped out a lot, but we still have a fill light issue. The light on the side is not able to keep up with the Amaran, so let's just take the sheet off and see if that helps. All right, and we actually have a pretty well lit video here, but again, we want to try to keep the ISO down. So we're currently at 800. Let's see if we can even take it to 400. All right, we brought the ISO down to 400, which of course lowered the exposure, so we're going to have to push some more light into the room again. Let's start again with the Amaran. All right, we got our exposure back. The Amaran's now at 35% capacity. I think we can take it to ISO 200. Let's see what happens. All right, we've made it to the native 200 ISO of the Panasonic Lumix GH6. Let's go ahead and increase the output of the Amaran one more time. All right, this is only 50% capacity for the Amaran 100D. Let's go ahead and increase the brightness of the light bars in the back, and then we'll go ahead and add a bounce on this side to kind of reflect some of that Amaran light to the fill side. All right, we've maxed out the capacity of the light bars and added a bounce to the fill side. In my opinion, it's just a little bit too flat, and I would probably take away the bounce and leave it a little bit more contrasty. But let's go ahead and go to the final test, which is to change the lens out to a smaller aperture 18mm lens. All right, so we have an 18mm lens, which has a cool look to it, but it really took the exposure out of the picture, so we're gonna have to push the Amaran to its limits. Let's do it. All right, we achieved the impossible with a camera set at ISO 200 and a small aperture 18mm lens. The only problem is you can't see the background, and I can't see anything because the lights are too bright. But we do got some more gear coming in this week, so check back with us next weekend as we unbox that stuff that comes in. We'll see you guys next time.